host countries, Scotland and Canada, share strong cultural and historical bonds. Nowhere is that more true than here in Nova Scotia, or, to give it its direct translation, New Scotland. I've come here to find out more about the origins of New Scotland and how much of a connection still exists with the old country, from history to family heritage to modern language, music and of course food and drink. We take a look at some notable Scots who made a home in Nova Scotia. William Young came from Falkirk, Alexander Keith came from the Highlands. Two of Halifax's most powerful and most notable men, would you say?
At the time, they were the dominant forces in the community.
Built it and then...
Built it and left behind things we can actually visit.
A legacy.
And we have a legacy from them.
Including Alexander Graham Bell, whose family still live on his estate. There's a very direct connection to the Bells, don't you, Martin?
Well, they're my great-grandparents. And my mother told the story of being a little girl at her grandparents' house here when suddenly being woken up by the crashing of the piano. Everybody standing around the piano and singing at night the Scottish songs. Was he a proud Scot? Very much so.
We tell the story of thousands of Scots who left home for the New World.
My last papers were checked, and Orwell, who could wait no longer, came leaping over the barriers to sweep me up in the most wonderful hug there ever was. My hat flew off, I dropped my purse, I didn't care, I was finally exactly where I wanted to be.
They wept when they came off the hectare because these were big, big trees. There was no fields cleared for crops. They were just thrown on shore and said, okay, you're on your own.
What was the average family size that had to share one of these bunks?
Oh, probably 4 or 5.
And your family sailed on this ship?
They did. I know my family, they were obviously very strong people, and I know what regard our family have for the land and the land that they settled on, and it's still in our family. You get proud of your roots, right?
So you are proud of your Scottish heritage?
Indeed, yeah.
We visit some new towns with recognisable old names.
I'm a very proud New Glaswegian. I have been town crier since 1992. When I was in Glasgow, the first thing I really noticed was the crossing of the river flowing through the town. It was an amazing experience. Of course, a lot of people didn't know what my Nova Scotia flag was that I kept waving.
And we take a drive into Celtic country, Cape Breton.
It was through songs and stories that the culture was passed. The very way that we live here in Cape Breton is all about the Scottish culture.
Do you think people associate more to Scotland, Canada?
For me personally, I guess I would think of myself as a Cape Bretoner first, and a Gael second.
It's estimated currently that there are about roughly 240,000 to 50,000 people who are descendant of Gaels, that initial Highland and Island stock.
It's hard to say how many people speak Gaelic here on Cape Breton Island, but it's an amazing growth every year as it's now taught in our schools. They did a survey a few years ago for the province of Nova Scotia, and it was, I believe, over 2,000 speakers.
It's something that we value. We hold it very close to our hearts. It's part of the people, that very much their value system. So it makes sense that we try and keep it going.